Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast superhero edition. It has been some time since we've done a superhero episode, but we are back to catch you up on some top superhero stories, some previews of some movies, some reviews of shows, and so forth. So we got the captain with us, Byron Mitchell. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I am doing great. It has been too long. I think the last thing we covered was all the big MCU news with all the Phase 4 and Phase 6 stuff. So happy to be back and catch everyone up on what's been going since then.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So we're just going to dive right into it. There's four big things we're going to be talking about for Marvel and DC. So while we were away, there was an announcement that no one, and I mean no one, was expecting. You saw Ryan Reynolds post a casual tweet talking about him in Deadpool 3 and him running out of any ideas. And then you just see a guy walking behind him, and Ryan's like, "Hey, Hugh, do you want to play Wolverine again?" And he's just like, "Yeah." Walks up the stairs, then you get the Deadpool with the slash on it. And to everyone's surprise, Byron, it really does look like Hugh Jackman is back.
It looks like Hugh Jackman is back to play Wolverine. The last time we saw him was in Logan, which was a just a fantastic movie from beginning to end. Thought that Hugh Jackman was done after that. He said he was done playing Wolverine. I don't know what Ryan Reynolds or Marvel offered Hugh Jackman to come back, but it had to be a nice fat paycheck for him to come back. And Hugh Jackman is back, man. I remember getting that news at work. I literally had to stop training and deliver the news to everyone. I was like, we have to pause. Hugh Jackman is back in the MCU. We got to celebrate.
I was shocked. I'm really am still shocked because obviously Logan was a swan song. It was the finale. It was in 2017, and for people who've seen it, he dies in that movie.
Hmm.
And they were talking about it too, that they're not going to touch that, and like their movie's going to be taking place in, I think, before Logan or something else, a different timeline,
Hmm.
whatever. But these ones always get tricky because you ended on such a good note, like you had the perfect ending.
Hmm.
20 years of service, like I get a little nervous because I was like, that was your last image as Wolverine, and you can't make it any better. I just don't want this one to, if it's his last image, to not be good.
I trust Ryan Reynolds and his creative genius because Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 were fantastic movies. So I trust him, and I feel like Hugh Jackman will have a lot of creative control on what happens to Wolverine because he's been playing the character, like you said, for 20 plus years. So I feel like he'll have like full creative control of like what happens in the movie,
Yeah, we still
along
need
with
to
Ryan Reynolds.
hear an interview on why he's back. Like what made him come. How
Hmm.
much you think they offered him? I think it's over 30.
It has to be over 30.
Like, I'm
It
just trying
has
to
probably maybe close to 50.
think 50.
Yeah.
Because this, like, why now? That's what I'm just stuck on.
Yeah. Like either like the story that Ryan Reynolds pitched to him about the adventures Deadpool and Wolverine are about to go on, like sold him, or it was a nice fat paycheck, or a combination of both.
And this movie's supposed to come out in 2024, so it's not too far away. And it's one of those things like where he's just casual, like, "Hey, do you want to play Wolverine one more time?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." It's just like, still, you serious? Like, or was it you guys just
Right.
still trolling us? Or like, if we, whenever the first trailer comes out in 2023 or early 2024, like, is he really going to be in it? That's why I'm like, I know you guys are trolls, so like, I don't, but you got everyone buzzing now, so
I mean, he's wanted to work with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for years, so hopefully they're not trolling because this will be the biggest troll job that I can think of in recent memory.
we'll see. We'll see. And that movie will be coming out in 2024, Deadpool 3. That's gonna be the MCU's first rated R movie because ain't no way they're
Hmm.
not gonna have it rated R. Ryan and them are doing it.
Hmm.
And we'll see. Because maybe there was a little influence on since Sir Patrick Stewart came back and did
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the little influence. He's like, well, if he wants, I'll come back too. But we'll see on how that goes. Byron,
I'm
man,
very excited for it.
I want to transition to because it has been a very long time. I want to transition to She-Hulk. She-Hulk just ended,
Yep.
and it's been a while since we've had a show with a lot of controversy.
This the way this show has garnered so much controversy is just mind baffling because I don't understand it. Like it just I don't understand why a good show like She-Hulk is just mired in controversy because internet fans are they're different.
So I don't want to go through over the whole series. I wanted to talk about biggest points and the biggest points
Hmm.
of controversy in this series. Before the show started, I won't lie. The CGI it looked terrible.
It did.
And we actually, because that was one of our last ones, we were talking about it ain't all fun and roses over at Marvel because they ain't paying people.
Yeah, so the biggest thing we talked about on the past couple podcasts were that the VFX artists were being paid terrible and had long working hours. So like the first trailer for She-Hulk, the CGI, like you said, just wasn't up to snuff. But I think they did some reshoots and reworked it. But like this, when the show came out, the CGI actually looked really good.
Yeah. So like that was the first thing. That's a whole with those artists not paying them, speeding, putting them on a crazy time schedule. Like I can get it if you were paying each of them like $1 million an episode and you had high demands, but if you're not paying them what they're worth and you're getting billions off your stuff and they're not getting anything, then that's a problem. And we're still monitoring that on the
Yeah.
L7C right now. So that was the first thing. You go in third episode, third episode, post
Hmm.
credit scene, the twerking was Megan the Stallion. And if for our
Hmm.
listeners who do not know Megan the Stallion, she's a rapper, successful, and she twerks. I mean, if you've heard the song WAP with Cardi B, like she does this stuff. So it's a post credit scene, it's not even part of the main show.
Hmm.
And Megan walks in, and then Jen's like, "Hey, I'm a really big fan of yours," and then they go into a twerk sesh, and that was very divisive for the fans. I mean, the one when you get the line saying, "Man, Tony Stark really died for this," and then it just starts a firestorm. What did you think of the twerking shenanigans?
I mean, like it was like you said, it was a post-credit scene, so like who cares? It wasn't even furthering the plot of the episode
Mm-hmm.
or the overarching story of She-Hulk. So I personally I didn't care. But I don't understand why fans were so upset by this. Like I don't understand like why like the line, "Oh, Tony Stark died for this." Like let people enjoy themselves. Like what is wrong with a little twerk session every once in a while? Like I don't get it.
Now I can understand like I'm full for the people who are like, hey, that's just not for me. I
Right.
get that. That's
I
fine.
get
And
that.
if you
Yep.
just say that, you're not bashing people who like it, that is perfectly fine. Because even I get into the thing because we're so deep in the MCU story. And
Hmm.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right. So when Ashram the judge comes back, we going to twerk on him? Like, what are we doing? Like, I do it from like that type of thing. Like,
Right.
I don't care. Like, that's fine. But I'm sitting here like, damn, man. My man Scott is gonna die in his own movie, and we down here twerking. Tragic. Like from that stand, because I'm
Yes, from
so
that
sad for my
standpoint,
man Scott, bro. He's gonna
yes.
die.
Yes, from that standpoint, I get it. But like
But in the overall thing,
again,
like I don't care. It's fine.
yeah. Overall thing, like whatever, I don't care. Like she twerked for like 30 seconds with Megan Thee Stallion. Like a lot of people want to twerk
Mm-hmm.
with Megan Thee Stallion. So, but like when it comes to like the overarching like big bad villain of King the Conqueror coming to mess everything up, like you said, I hope like that's not her defense of like twerking, but I don't think it will be because she's proven that
I
she
don't
can
even think
fight
she's
through
gonna
the
be in
out there
that
show.
movie.
Why? We'll see.
I honestly, I think that's way above her power scaling.
I mean, they're gonna need all hands on deck the way Jonathan Majors is looking.
But I don't know if they want. I don't know, man. I don't know if she's truly ready for that type of life. Like when she's like,
Well,
"Oh,
you
I'm gonna
know.
just punch him," and he catches your shit. Oh no, she ain't ready
Everyone
for
has to
that.
go through that. Every superhero has to go through that first fight of like, oh, I think I'm big and bad. I can take out the villain. And then, no, you're not big and bad as you thought you were.
It's a tough awakening,
It
man.
is.
So let's go to the biggest. Actually, now I don't even think it's the biggest. I think it's overarching. So
Yeah.
after episode three, like it was like episode 4 or 5, they had like that halftime, like what every MCU show does, like they
Mm-hmm.
show like the trailer of the halftime thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see a flip in the air and you see Daredevil. And
Yes.
since with Hugh, obviously Daredevil, like that trailer was out before Hugh announced he was back. It was,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously like Toby and Andrew came back and all that stuff, but the superhero streets were crying. They were
Mm-hmm.
crying because like one, he's the first main character Netflix superhero who they
Mm-hmm.
treated like freaking stepchildren, who on the L7C we still have huge problems with.
Mm-hmm.
That he's going to be fully in the MCU, and he was the first, and he should have been. And we were just sitting there like, damn, man, our son really made it back.
Matt Murdock.
And then that instantly skyrocketed people's interest in She-Hulk because they're like, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
can't wait to see Matt, yada yada. Then they went 2 episodes, and people were thinking he was going to be in one of the episodes. I think it was 6 because he
Mm-hmm.
came in 8, right?
He came
He fought
in,
in
yeah.
8,
Well, yeah, he showed up in episode 8,
yeah, and then I know he
which was
shows
the
up in
episode before the finale.
yeah, and he shows up in the finale. Yeah, so like episode 8, so episode 6, people were like, man, it's time for Matt. Nowhere. Episode 7, they're like, all right, it's time. You get that little tease. Nowhere. After that, people were pissed. Super, super pissed. They're like, where the heck is Matt Murdock? So before we get to the actual time when he shows up,
Mm-hmm.
I have some thoughts on that,
Okay.
but I want to hear from the captain first.
I was okay with it because I think it was like episode 2 or 3. She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall. She said, "This is not going to be one of those shows where there's a cameo every week." So they literally laid out the groundwork. There's not going to be a cameo every week. So I wasn't upset that they previewed that. Oh, Matt Murdock is coming. I wasn't expecting him to be in every like the last 4 episodes of the season. So I was fine with him not showing up till episode 8. Now, should they have said and shown that he was coming for the mid-credit scene? I don't know. I think that's where people have gotten their hopes up
Mm-hmm.
because of that mid halfway season trailer. But I was fine with him not showing up till episode 8.
That's a good point that you said about was it the right move to show him in that mid season trailer,
Mm-hmm.
because once you showed him, you hijacked your own show.
Yeah,
It's the truth. No disrespect to Jen, but there's been millions of people waiting for this guy to finally get the Cummings he deserves. Obviously, we saw him in Spider-Man. We wanted more. And Kevin,
mm-hmm.
like you said, I think a year ago, where Kevin's like, yeah, whenever it happens, Matt Murdock is the Daredevil. Well, Charlie Cox is the Daredevil of the
Mm-hmm.
MCU. So you hijacked your own. But then again, from business side, you're getting more views every day because people are
It's true.
waiting for him. So companies tend to take the money over common sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they took the money. And I know, like what you've said off recording about, like, I mean, it's not his show, it's called She Hulk, not
Right.
Daredevil. So I agree with all the stuff. And then when I was reading stuff, but then I really had to sit and think about it because we're recording right now on Friday the 14th.
14th.
And I can probably tell you guys both right now, in which you'll be listening to this podcast coming up way after before this, but the wrestling podcast where something crazy happened.
Mm-hmm.
Byron, what's the main reason you are watching SmackDown right now?
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt is not the main character of wrestling. Roman Reigns is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I started to go back to think. I was like, there's a whole bunch of times in wrestling where I'm watching this show and I'm not watching it for the main characters because they told me someone's coming back
Hmm.
and that's the only reason I'm watching. And then if they don't come back because they tease you to get it in, you get pissed. So I was understanding it from every side just because of our wrestling experience.
Yes.
But for people to be super pissy about it, saying like they're gonna boycott the show, that's not really where you should have gone. I can understand you being mad, especially if you're a big fan. Like if they told me, like, shoot, that's why in No Way Home they never confirmed who was going to be in the movie
Hmm.
because if they would have said like, oh, Toby's in, and then he doesn't show up,
Yeah, I think, like you said, I get why they showed him, like, oh yeah, he's coming. But I think it would have been a bigger shock, like if you just had him show up, because I know
yes,
in like that final trailer before the show started, they showed him coming, and that got everyone hyped. So then, like you said, they were waiting for him to show up. Then the mid-season credit trailer that said, "Oh yeah, he's coming." And then everyone's like waiting again. So I think it would have been a more impact and probably broke the internet if you just had him not shown him in any of the trailers and just had him show up.
I think what they could have done too is they could have kept us guessing because
Yeah.
obviously Matt's a lawyer and she's a lawyer, but you could have been like, ooh, maybe I'm going to fight a lawyer. I'm going to go fight a private investigator. Like
Hmm.
then you get them get because Jessica Jones could have filled that spot too, like a
Yep.
PI. Like obviously with the stuff we'll get to the season finale of like hiring PIs, it could have been Jessica Jones. Like you could have done some. You could have introduced her in the She-Hulk if you had that. You had the alleyway.
They did have the alleyway, but we'll see if Jessica Jones shows up in a later MCU product.
I think she'd be next if
Yeah,
if they're gonna bring the stars from. Actually, it's either gonna be her or Punisher.
that's true. Punisher, people do love Punisher.
Yeah, John Berthel was it.
Yeah.
So you get to 8. You finally get Daredevil. You see him fighting. Him and Jem had the team up. Basically, they hook up at the end, and then that's really the episode.
Yeah.
So, first thing, when Jen was like, "So what are you, some devil?" And then he was like, "I'm Daredevil," and they had the Netflix music playing. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oh, that tug on the
Mm-hmm.
things. But she basically hit him with old dude from Guardians One with the who. I was like, all right, girl, let's not be disrespectful. Let's not be disrespectful. But then in my head, I'm like, well, technically, Daredevil is a city level superhero in Hell's
Yeah.
Kitchen. So if you're not reading the Hell's Kitchen paper and they're not posting him on national news, then you may not know him because obviously she didn't really care about this world. So
Mm-hmm.
I was letting it slide, but I was like, hold on now, don't be disrespectful. What did you think about their first interaction? First, like when they're on the roof.
I thought they actually had an excellent like back and forth fight the
Mm-hmm.
first
They
time
did.
they showed up. So I think just right off the bat, you introduced Daredevil properly in the MCU. Like this guy can fight. But like your point, I did tug on the heartstrings when they play that Netflix Daredevil thing. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's so good to be back.
Hopefully they
But
keep it in some way.
hopefully, well, because he is getting an 18 episode season, so hopefully they can have that be the theme. Which is wild that he gets the first 18 episode season.
Yeah, again shows the power of the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Because 18, I mean, these people, I mean, the older MCU shows were only getting like six,
Yep,
6 to 8 to 9.
Yep, 6, 8. I think nine. She-Hulk's nine is the longest so far, and I think WandaVision's was 8. But yeah, they're usually like 6 episode seasons. So shout out to my man Daredevil for getting an 18 episode
And they're
season.
going to be 18 an hour clip.
See, that's what I don't know because She-Hulk was 30-minute episodes, like 30 to 35-minute episodes. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if they're going to do the whole hour or do like 35-minute episodes.
And so that's a whole other thing. So my biggest and nothing with the scene. My biggest problem with the roof thing, and this is just a me thing. I have a
Hmm.
huge issue when characters get introduced, like superheroes and all that, and then they get unmasked the same episode.
Yeah,
I had that was my one on the roof thing because I'm like, come on, bro, this dude's been doing this for years. You would have a way for him to not get unmasked like that.
I agree. I think they could have kept him masked, but I understand for what happens after.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So then, of course, first time you see him fighting some people, he's in a hallway.
hmm
Well, also he shows off his abilities to gen like his echo stuff and knowing her heartbeats,
hmm
all that stuff. So that was super cool. So then, yep, you're in a hall. He's like, dude, I've been doing this for years. You don't even have a thing. You
Right.
sit back. So he's in a hallway, goes to work. Obviously, the fan base, if his fight scene was going to be terrible, this show was not going to. It was going to be destroyed. What do you
hmm
think of the fight scene?
Oh man, I was so hyped to see him fight in a hallway again because those hallway fights in Daredevil seasons were just fantastic. So it was good to see him sneak up on the bad guys and just go to work like he does.
So then She-Hulk comes in, they fight, all that stuff. She turns to the cameras like, this guy's really doing it for me. Then they're talking on the roof, and
hmm
then they proceed to hook up. And this is where a lot of people they came as like, man, Marvel really ruined Daredevil. He's not relatable anymore. Like they really ruined the character and yada yada. So that was that. That one went to town. So what did you think of that?
To borrow a quote from my man Daniel Bryan, fickle. These fans wanted Daredevil to show up.
Mm-hmm.
This man shows up, beats so much ass, shows that he basically comes in Netflix Daredevil form to the MCU. So they introduced him right with a fight with She-Hulk, the hallway fight, the warehouse fight after the hallway fight. So this man's just going to work, but people want to be upset because he has sex. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like you don't think superheroes have sex, so all superheroes should just be celibate for the rest of their life. Like Tony Stark had a kid, but no one said anything. Like, oh, Tony Stark, they ruined the character because Tony Stark has a kid. But like, why is it ruined when Daredevil has sex? Like
Yeah,
that.
this is from like LAD Bible, like a whole bunch of sites. Like I had to scroll back. Viewers
hmm
were called for betrayal because superheroes were not relatable, and there were some people trying to make it like they were trying to make it because it was like a woman thing. And I had to tell someone I was like, it's not. It has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with like the main character being a woman. It really
hmm
has nothing to do with that. It's the people are saying like, of course, this gets thrown out all the time, like comic book accuracy and all that stuff. So there's a
hmm
couple things I had to write down for this. Well, middle part we've already talked about She-Hulk being the center of controversy, which I never thought. So first thing we've talked about, I can understand if you're passionate about a character and if they're out of character and they're not getting treated right in your mind, and you get
hmm
mad. And I said, I don't have an issue of him having sex. That's not the problem. Now I had a part. I know it's supposed to be funny, but the dude's been doing this for years. There's no way he's doing a walk of shame as Daredevil in the morning.
I mean, yeah, that was for comedy.
Yeah, that was for comedy. But then I'm sitting here, I was like, all right, now, like, come on now. My man's been doing this for a long time. He would be there caning up as Matt
hmm
Murdock, and then he'd instantly fall because he's blind to keep people like, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
one thing. So the people who are mad about Matt having sex, that's an invalid argument because if you've just looked at, you don't even have to go to comics just because most of you don't read the stuff. Go to the Netflix shows.
hmm
Obviously, there's Paige, there's
hmm
Elektra,
hmm
uh, there's Rosario Dawson's character, the nurse.
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but
Yeah,
yeah.
even though she was like the Phil Coulson of the Netflix shows,
hmm
because she was on every single one of them. I mean, he's been with these people, especially Elektra. I mean, that's a whole
Right. That's comic book accurate too.
yeah. So like I mean, he has sex, so it's not. Now, if you were trying to, and there was none of these arguments that I actually saw that I actually would have listened. Now, if you were trying to say like, if you don't know how connected that Netflix shows are, and you were saying that like, oh, he wouldn't have sex with her because he's still hung up on Elektra,
hmm
I could see that, but we don't know what the how connected they're going to make these shows. It's basically
Right.
a reboot, so we don't even know if Elektra is going to exist in the MCU, which I hope she does. But
hmm
it was just a thing. Like it's not something to get super mad about. Again, like they if there's some parts you didn't like when I was saying like the unmasking and him doing the walk of shame as Daredevil and Matt Murdock, that is fine. Oh, shout out
Hmm.
to Triple H, he's on the TV. But if you're mad about him having sex with She-Hulk because you don't like She-Hulk, then that's a problem.
That's a problem. Yeah,
Like if
I
you're like
100% agree.
so that's fine with that. And then even at the end of that episode, she basically, I mean, she gets hit, she gets smeared.
Hmm.
So
Because one of the guys that she hooked up with was part of the group that's trying to take her down. So like when she's accepting an award, it all comes out, and they're basically slut shaming her, which is not cool.
in an event, yeah, like you said, like an event, she's gonna win an award.
Right.
So you get to the finale. Obviously, you're tracking down who did it. You have
Hmm.
some returns. Bruce Banner returns.
Hmm. You see, Abomination in his true form.
Yeah, they don't have the rematch that we would all want,
Hmm.
but they didn't have the time for that. It wasn't about them. You know, they She-Hulk, all that.
Hmm.
Get through it, save the day, yada yada. Daredevil casually drops back in. I thought he left. I didn't think he was in LA still.
No, he just drops out of the air and says, "I'm here to help." She's like, "Oh, bro, it's already been taken care of."
But then
But
I'm
hey,
sitting here like, how come those people on the side were like, "Oh, hey, Daredevil"? I was like, "Huh? Wait, y'all know him?" But I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay."
because Jen talked, she told.
Yeah. So then of course, you gotta end it. Like I think Falcon and Winter Soldier ended like this too. You gotta end it on a cookout,
Yeah, they ended on a Falcon and Winter Soldier, ended on a cookout,
and then you have
and then
Jen's
this one did.
Jen's family
Jen's
members
parent,
asking all them
yep.
questions.
Oh, that was so funny.
I
Grilling
was
him
like,
like,
"Dang."
"You're a lawyer. Do you get paid well?" He's like, "No, no, I'm just here to help people, the less fortunate." I was like, "Yeah, good Daredevil."
Well, he's like, so, but do you get paid though? And he's like, not. Well, I was like, well, if you and Jen, and they're like, I was like, oh no. And then you see the woos. Like you have Bruce come back and like, she's telling Matt like, oh, that's my cousin Bruce. Bruce. He's like, oh. And then he's like,
Hmm.
I like for you someone to meet. Then you see this person come up and he's like, this is my son Shakar. And then you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, that is one of the biggest shocks of the episode. One, because he was on Planet Sakaar, and people have been wanting a Planet Hulk movie
Mm-hmm.
since the beginning of time. So for them to name drop Sakaar is amazing. But for him to have a son is a little weird because, like, when have you had time to go to Sakaar to have a child?
Yeah, see that, and I'm already gonna say it. My man needs a brother to be his barber because that cut wasn't it.
Yes, it
He need a
it
good
was
brother to
not
be his barber because that
it.
I saw, bro. I said, nah, ain't no way. This got to be a fake leak. Ain't no way. So then I had to watch more videos. I'm like, this cannot be this man's cut. No
Yeah,
way. Who cut his hair,
yeah.
Matt? Like that. Oh, I was like, nah. That instantly was like, oh no.
Yeah, the internet, Twitter was setting his son ablaze for his haircut, bro. It was the comments were so funny.
It was so bad, and it's out of the blue. Like, so did you have you always known about this son? Like, obviously now you know the reason why he went off world, but
Hmm.
did did you get a call? Like, did you have this son like in that time frame where you were just Hulk on the planet before Ragnarok?
True.
Because is that why Bruce didn't know? Because that was Hulk having a kid, but then it's like so. There's a whole bunch of things, and that ending has divided people again because they're like, "What the hell? Like, how do you end on that?" And
Yeah,
it is
I don't know.
woos.
It's very woos because like I said, like I don't know when he had time to have a son, but it could be when he was on that one planet till Thor showed up. So maybe I guess that was the time he was,
Because there was a couple years where he was Hulk straight
yeah,
until Thor showed up in Ragnarok. Because when Bruce came back, he was asking about Sokovia.
right.
Like that was Avengers 2. This was Thor 3. So that'd be the. But then if you had it sudden then, like all these years, and now you just getting contacted,
Right, yeah. So
and he didn't look like no 2-year-old now.
now he looked like a full grown, like a good 15-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how well, I guess he's already been introduced, but like where his story goes in the MCU. Like, are they going to do a Planet Hulk movie now? Because you've already name dropped Sakaar, which is everyone has wanted. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see.
So now you got, in theory, 3 real Hulks in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get Red Hulk and Thunderbolt.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because it's like he's not gonna get his own show. That's a hell no. He ain't getting his own show. So
No.
it's like, who show you gonna put him in She-Hulk 2 and he's just tagging along with his aunt? Or you gonna have him be like a young Avengers thing? Because we were just talking about off screen how it's like the only person left who don't got kids is Hulk. Now he got a kid out of the original Avengers
And now he's got a kid. So
who are
all the
still active. Well, I guess active if you want to call it active.
yep, all the original ones got their protege now. We got Hawkeye and Kate, Hulk and his son, I forgot what Scar. We
Mm-hmm.
got Thor and I forgot what they called. Love.
Yep.
So yeah.
And then Hawkeye got his 4 bio kids.
And yeah, it's four real kids. Yep.
Like so, that is interesting on that because I also wanted to pull up. Because obviously, we're in this era now where you can like review bomb and all of that stuff, and some is valid, some is not. I don't like review bombing,
hmm
but it's one of those things like where critics had She-Hulk at an 87 on Rotten Tomatoes. If you don't care about Rotten Tomatoes, that's fine. I sometimes people take too much into it, but I get it.
hmm
Critics had it at 87. The fans had it at 35.
The fans are fickle, dude. This is best word I can describe the internet comic book fans. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I love the fourth wall breaks that she had in each episode. I love how the episodes were like they're each like self-contained story, like a real law drama where like each episode was a different case, and then you have
Mm-hmm.
the overarching story throughout the season. I enjoy that. I enjoy the finale so much where she really broke the fourth wall and showed up to Marvel Studios to confront Kevin and about how like basically all the movies are the same. I enjoy that so much.
Yeah. No, my last thing on this is I've already said it earlier. If the show ain't for you, I completely understand. There are some
hmm
things I liked. There are some things I did not like. But if it ain't for you, that's fine. But if it's for people, let them enjoy it. Ain't nothing wrong with
hmm
it. That's it. You voice your thing, say, hey, I didn't like it for this, this, this. It's just not for me. If it's for you, that's cool. And then we move on.
hmm
Now you don't
I
have
agree.
to kill someone if they like it. But now people saying like it's the greatest show of all time. You got to dial that back a little bit because you got to be like now if you fully enjoyed it and that's the greatest show for you, great. But if we are trying to do like an L7, you try to get on the L7C podcast and be objective, you're gonna get pushback there.
You're gonna get a little pushback.
But hey, shout out to them. That's the last real MCU thing until November 11th, where
hmm
Black Panther 2 tickets have already been on sale. The two they
hmm
already had 2 trailers. We were chilling one day and I said, hey man, they're gonna drop a trailer soon. It's time. And
Well,
then
I thought it was gonna be like a couple weeks from that moment we had that conversation. It's literally the next day.
the music in the second trailer, oh man.
the the music in both trailers
Yes.
are fantastic. Like they provide so much emotion to the trailer that you're actually watching. Like both of them still give me chills to this day.
Yeah. So that's coming out, and we'll be back reviewing that one. But we do have a superhero movie coming out on the 21st. We got Black Adam. Obviously, The Rock's been working really hard to get this movie out. He said 13 years in the making. It's kind of
Hmm.
like the DC version of how Ryan Reynolds was working 10 years to get Deadpool out,
Hmm.
and how Channing Tatum was working forever trying to get Gambit, and that never happened.
I
So,
really want to see the Channing Tatum Gambit movies.
yeah, agreed. But this is coming out. It's been last DC movie was the Batman, and
Hmm.
theaters. The last DCEU movie was the Suicide Squad movie, the new one.
Yep,
So it's been
last
a
year.
while. And this is Rockman, and he's gonna be here, Black Adam, and trailers have been good, and we're ready to go. The internet, there've already been people who have seen it, obviously world premiere, and they're loving it. There is an alleged, don't want to say because we don't spoil things on the L17 we'll review it. There's an
Hmm.
alleged Omega Omega appearance that when we see it, if it's true,
If it's true, you will
it
know.
changes everything.
I hope it's true, but like you said,
We'll know next week
we'll
of time
see.
of
We'll know
recording.
next week. Yep. But I'm
So,
excited for it. The trailers have looked good. I'm excited to see, you know, just a good DCEU movie
mhm.
in theaters because the last one was Suicide Squad, but
That
they
was
released
good.
it to HBO Max. So we get to see one in the theaters outside of Batman.
Yeah. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see, man. There's a lot of hype on this, and obviously, The Rock is the biggest person in entertainment, so he's worked really hard for this, and we're gonna see how it goes. And again, if everyone's eating good, we get more stuff.
Yes, I like more stuff. Give us
So
all the stuff.
we will see on that. Sticking with DC though, because also that same Friday is going to be DC's first game in a very, very, very long time. Gotham Knights will be dropping this Friday for still hate them for switching it up because they had to delay it. PlayStation
Hmm.
5, the newest Xbox, and on Steam / PC. Where obviously, if you don't know the premise of that, Batman's dead and it's up to the Gotham Knights, Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl, take his place and save the city from a whole bunch of villains and the main villains, the Court of Owls. Byron, it's been years since DC has had a console type game.
Hmm.
How excited are you, and what do you expect from this game?
I am 1000% excited about this game. I am as soon as I get off of work on, well, after we watch Black Adam.
Because we're singing
That
at 7.
Saturday,
Yeah.
yeah, but that Saturday I'm going to be playing Gotham Knights because I'm so excited. Like you said, we haven't had a DC game in forever, so I'm really, really excited for this.
Yeah. So again, man, it's been years since you really want to go like Batman Telltale, like, and even before that, you had Arkham Knight, which was almost 7 years ago, and Justice 2 was almost 7 years ago. Like, it's been a
Hmm.
very long time, and Marvel's been in the lab with games like the Spider-Man,
Hmm.
the Miles Morales, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy. They already have their next wave of like they're doing a whole bunch of different things like a Captain America, T'Challa's dad, Black Panther game, like a
Hmm.
Logan game's coming, Marvel Spider-Man 2's coming. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they're going through the pipeline, and DC's just been non-existent in video games, which is
Yeah,
crazy to think because 10 years ago it was the complete opposite.
right. You were getting a bunch of DC games that Marvel was non-existent. And then Marvel was like, you know what? Let's change the script. Let's give them
Yeah.
a game like every other year. Then DC was like, we're okay. We'll give them a game once we figure out what we're doing. But I'm happy the DC games are back. Hopefully, this will be popular so they can create more. Because I know after this one, they have the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which is supposed to be coming out early next year because that got pushed back as well. So I'm excited.
Also, too, they've already announced a new mode in the game, and we don't even have the game. And the new mode's coming out in November. Like, what?
Hmm. Free to play 4-person co-op, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. And it's been a while. L17 is probably going to be hitting up a couple streams on the Gotham Knights campaign once we get our bearings in on that. Obviously,
Hmm.
the biggest question is Will we get Batman as a playable character in this game?
I feel like maybe later DLC we'll probably get like a Batman like story like before, or like how he died if they don't thoroughly cover it.
Or if he's dead, they could hit you with his Marvel's Avengers. Captain America was dead the whole the whole game until the last part.
That's true. That is true.
And you find him in freaking space. So we'll see on that. Just going on DC, one of our last biggest things is this past Monday, October 10th, which is a crazy milestone. It was the 10-year anniversary of Arrow. And obviously, Arrow revitalized superhero television to a whole new level. And if you would have thought 10 years ago where you would have had all the crossovers, 700 plus episodes, like all that stuff combined, and the Arrowverse, which is 10 years old, you would never have thought that you would get Flash, Supergirl, Superman, like all these people on TV and all these shows on TV. Not the fact they just had on DC, but obviously on Marvel with coming out with their grittier shows on Netflix and like The Boys. And it all started with him, like as Detective Lance said in season 3, all of these masks, they started with him. It started with Stephen Amell.
Yes, it did. Like he definitely revitalized the whole, like you said, the whole superhero TV genre. Like the movies were doing their thing because of Batman.
And Batman
But
just ended. DC needed some. That was 2012. The Dark Knight Rises just ended.
yep. So they were like, let's do this show about Green Arrow, which, I never thought he'd be one of the like forefronts that they would pick. Like thought they would do like a revitalized Superman show before they did the Green Arrow, but they took a chance with Green Arrow, and 10 years later we're still talking about all the great moments in the Arrowverse.
Like Kevin Smith said at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was crazy, man. It's been so long because they were having post-show episode, like post, like Sports Center for the show. Kevin Smith said it. The Arrowverse, he is their Robert Downey Jr. He is their Iron Man.
Yeah.
There was a tweet that I've shared a whole bunch of times where these people they're both B, C tier heroes, and they built a whole universe starting with them and put them in the limelight. It's the same formula.
They they started with the B tier heroes, and then eventually we got Superman out of the Arrowverse.
Yeah. Who Superman and Lois is one of the best superhero shows ever.
Oh yeah. They are putting in work in both seasons. I can't wait to see what season 3 holds.
Yeah, so it's just still crazy. It's 10, and shout out to him, man. And for people who've never gave the Arrowverse a try, I mean, Flash is going to be done. Flash is making 9 seasons on television. You just got to put that in perspective. Iron Fist on Netflix couldn't even get more than 3 seasons. Luke Cage, I don't think got 3 seasons. Actually, no, he didn't, because Jessica and Daredevil were the only 2 who got 3.
Yeah, I think Luke Cage got 2, and I think Iron Fist got 2 as well.
And Punisher got 2.
Yep.
So 2, 2, 6.
And then you had the Defenders.
That was terrible. They underperformed.
I mean, it still counts.
It still counts. So 7. And then Daredevil 310. And then Jessica Jones 313. Flash almost has as many seasons by himself than the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe on Netflix.
Yes.
Put that in perspective.
Yeah, that's insane. Like the last superhero TV show to get 10 seasons was Smallville.
Yep. Legends.
Yeah. So yeah. He's entering that upper echelon. I think it's gonna be like a short season, so I don't think it's gonna be like the 24 episodes. I think it's like 12 or 13.
Yeah. And it's crazy because they went back to things like Oliver lit the spark in the first season and Barry fanned the flame, because obviously the things they had to do, get Supergirl, there's a whole episode. They had to get Supergirl off CBS. They got Black Light, and Black Light wasn't even fully a part of the Arrowverse, all stuff. Then you get Superman debuts. Like you get Superman on Supergirl, like all of these different things. You get John Wesley Snipes playing his Flash from the 90s and being Barry's dad and being Jake Garrett, like so many different things and all that stuff. And then obviously cultivated Crisis on Earth, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and them having all the cameos. You even showed Titans. You even show like you showed where how the DC stuff is. So no one thought it'd get this point. 10 years, man. Crisis was its peak. You can make a case for Crisis on Earth X was its true peak because I didn't think there was never any action better than Crisis on Earth X.
They had so many good fight scenes, and that crossover, man, that wedding fight scene still like my number one fight scene in all of
Yeah.
Arrowverse.
Now, obviously, the story, like the cultivation, was Infinite Earths, where to this day, because no one knew about it, you still probably have the greatest cameo of all time with Flash talking to Flash and
Yep, no
Ezra
one.
Miller and Grant Gustin
Yep, I never thought I'd see like Crisis on Infinite Earths played out on TV, and it was done so well,
with the time, like if
so well.
commercials and all. If you would have they should have made it. They had a chance to make it a movie, no commercials, but you have to play in the confines of television.
Yeah,
But seeing a DCEU character like who's still in the role, that was a moment I'll just never forget. And the fandom, like every night on social media, the Arrowverse fandom, it was peak Arrowverse fandom on Twitter and social media.
mm-hmm. Yep, especially when that moment happened, like it broke the internet.
Yeah, everyone was talking about it. They're like, "Holy shit!" Like that guy. And then you realize that Grant basically gave Ezra's Flash's name.
Yeah, which is wild that the Flash didn't get the Flash in like the Justice League movies. Yeah, he literally got it from Grant Gustin.
Oh shoot, Grant Gustin got his name from basically Oliver saving people in a
Yeah,
Flash.
yeah.
But shout out to them. Obviously, now with Flash entering the ninth season, the longest Arrowverse season of all time, you got Superman and Lois going to see who's going to be in season three. Stargirl's going on right now. They're the only three left. All the other ones ended, which we've talked about. We still cannot get over. And now it's Gotham Knights is going to have 13 episodes, and there's going to be an option to pick up another season if it gets renewed. Let's just be honest, that show's not getting renewed. That show might get canceled halfway through.
Yeah, that show might get canceled, which I mean, I don't know if I would be particularly upset because the way they did Legends and Batwoman literally just canceling them because, oh, we didn't want to rent the space out anymore. But you want to rent the space out for Gotham Knights? I
Still to
don't get
this
it.
day.
But the CW will do what the CW wants. So hopefully Gotham Knights will be a success. I will at least give it a good college try and watch the first episode.
I'm interested to see just how they do right by Grant. 9 years, how they
Hmm.
do right by that crew. They've all mostly the original cast has been through all 9 seasons together in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
The only one who took a little step back was like Cisco, but he will still show up and
Hmm.
all that. And now Caitlin just had a baby, like Danielle Park, like she just had a baby. So,
Yep.
but we'll see, man. Hopefully they get returned, get Wally, Jesse Quick. Like,
Yep.
let's get them all. Patty. I do
Patty.
think
Yep.
Melissa should be like there. I think Oliver in some way, like showing up in a dream, talking to him about his final battle, like that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there is a rumor that
Then Oliver's the bad.
Oliver is the main bad guy. Well, different Oliver because
Mm-hmm.
Oliver,
He's
sacrificed
gone.
himself to restore order. But we'll see. I hope that rumor is not true, and just let Oliver, like you said, come to Flash in a dream or like a flashback of a
Yeah.
conversation they had or something.
But we'll see, man. When Flash starts, L7C will be hyper focused because we will pay the
Hmm.
respect that show deserves to the greatest Flash in live action history, Grant Gustin.
Hmm.
Byron, anything else, man?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything, all the big news. Can't think of anything else.
Yeah, next time we'll be back. We're going to be reviewing Black Panther. So we're going to be back in a couple weeks. We're going to be
Yep.
reviewing Black Panther. We're going to be
Black
talking
Adam.
about our initial thoughts on Gotham Knights, the video game,
Hmm.
playing that. We're going to be gearing you up for next year because there's a lot of MCU movies coming out. And it's crazy, Byron. I could say right now, since we were talking about Grant, The most hyped movie I am for a superhero movie is The Flash because I got to know why Ezra still has a job, and the only reason in my head is it's heat.
That is the only reason I can think of. That is the only acceptable. I want to say that's acceptable
And
because
Benny Hayes back in 2023. Like, there's a lot happening, and we'll get to that in our next pod. But just to preview that for y'all,
yeah, 2023 is going to be wild with all that the MCU is trying to do in Phase 5, leading
which they
up to
scooted up because of fans
yep,
bitching.
yep, the power of fans bitching. Got Kevin was like, "All right, we tried to wait, but y'all wanted to rush things, so man, well, man, really starts off with Scott Lang and Ant-Man, man.
February,
If y'all haven't seen the pictures of Jonathan Majors,
aka
aka Kang the Conqueror, you will know why we say that Scott Lang is probably not making it through that movie.
his own movie,
His own
and
movie.
that's never been done before. But he
Right.
ain't making it out. He ain't making it out. Unless Superman comes from DC, he ain't making it out. But with that being said, go ahead, Byron. You got anything else?
I was like, that's gonna be crazy. That's the only way Scott Lang is survive is if
Nah,
a
bro.
Superman from DC
Because
comes.
we know how teamwork works in the MC. Their teamwork is ass water right now.
Actually,
They can't
this
call
actually brought up
nobody.
a point because we've talked about the Sokovia Accords. Matt Murdock
That's a good
actually
point. Yep,
said
we can, yep.
the Sokovia Accords have been repealed.
I think that was the biggest. I think that was the most important thing of She-Hulk. No disrespect.
Yeah, that's wild. That they literally had a civil war about the Sokovia Accords, and then after Endgame, they're like, "Yeah, well, we'll do away with the Sokovia Accords." But yet,
That's
there's still no teamwork. So
yeah, but why would I? That's something that this should not have been casually dropped. That's a
yeah,
major thing. Like obviously now people are picking up on when they rewatch it. Like, wait, the Accords got repealed, and also, man, he murdered Jen in the courtroom. Oof.
he did. He did.
But the Accords are repealed. I'm like, hold on now. Like we that's a big deal.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll explore it more. I think maybe the next time they explore it is probably Captain
New
America
New World
4
Order.
because it's the New World Order. So maybe that has something to do with Captain America's 4's plotline. We don't know yet because we haven't heard anything except for the title and Sam Wilson is returning as Captain America.
Yeah. So, yeah, big thing. And people, let us know how you feel about the Accords being repealed. Let us know what you think about the Accords in general, because obviously that is the reason that Thanos won because of
Mm-hmm.
Civil War. Basically, Baron Zemo is the reason we all got smoked. So
He really is. And he's gonna get
normal human, no powers.
just had a plan. He's like, I'm set. I'm gonna take the Avengers out. He literally one of the villains at once.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Definitely glad that's why you're the captain because we were about to go without mentioning the appeals being recorded. But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to L7C's podcast. We are back talking superheroes. It's been way too long, so you're going to get more of us in these next couple of weeks. Be sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to, and we're back, man. Black Adam next Friday on the 21st. Gotham Knights on the 21st. Black Panther November 11th. Big dates right there. And with that being said, this is the L7C podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.